Well, welcome to the Judges Roundtable this afternoon. And we've got a panel of judges to talk to you this afternoon. And we're really here to explain a little bit more about the different categories. And through a discussion on a performance, we're going to look at a performance through our different lenses. So I'd like to introduce the category directors to you today. We have Debbie Cox, who is the category director for the music category. We have Nikki James, who is the category director for performance, and Paula Taylor-Williams, category director for singing. And also we're joined by Alison Zalowski, who is the chairman of the Education and Judging Committee. Over to you, Alison.
Yeah, I just wanted to say hello to everybody and welcome you to this session. It's a really great opportunity to get a window in on how the judges discuss performances, and please feel free to put any questions in the chat and we'll monitor those as we go along and hopefully answer them at the end. I just wanted to take this opportunity as well to introduce you to the fourth member of our category team. We hear a lot about performance, music and singing, and that's what we all focus our details on. But actually none of this would be possible if we didn't have our wonderful contest admin team. And so I'd just like to ask Jackie Mumford, who is the category director for the contest admin team, to give us all a really big wave. Jackie, we're really grateful to you because none of the things that we do in terms of scoring and writing evaluations and everything would all be meaningless unless we had our contest admin team running the competitions for us. So just a quick acknowledgement there, Jackie. Thanks very much indeed for joining us. And back to Alison.
Okay, just to add to that, Jackie did a session on our Labs Online over the summer about the contest administration category, and you will be able to find that in the on-demand from the summer, the sessions that run over the summer. So if you're more interested in that category, please do go there and have a look. Okay, we're going to start our discussion by giving what we call nutshells, which is a brief explanation of the category. And we always go through our categories in alphabetical order, which sometimes throws me slightly because I get in a muddle. So we're going to start again with music, and Debbie will give you the nutshell for the music category. Over to you, Debbie.
Hello. So the music category judges the performance of the song and arrangement and the performer's musicianship in bringing the song to life. We also evaluate the suitability of the music to the performer, and while we're not officially the guardians of the style anymore, which we used to be, the suitability of the arrangement to the style will naturally affect everything else that we judge. So obviously a more suitable arrangement will score higher still, even though it's not set out in black and white anymore. That's me.
Thank you, Debbie. Over to performance, Nikki.
Hi. So performance judge evaluates the entertainment within the barbershop style. We're looking at both the vocal and the visual elements in the context of the song choice and delivery, and we evaluate them for their contribution to the overall entertainment effect of the performance. So really we're looking at emotional impact and entertainment value.
Thank you, Nikki. And Paula, singing. Paula, you're on mute, love.
You're muted, Paula.
It's just
there we go.
There you go. Well done.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so in the singing category, we're evaluating the degree to which the singers achieve artistic singing in the barbershop style. So we're listening out for 5 key things. So how in tune is your singing? What's the vocal quality like of your singing? How well do you sing together? That's the unity element. How well are you expanding the sound? That's that lovely thing that we all enjoy when we hear those lovely overtones and expansion. And how are you singing with vocal expression?
Thank you, Paula. Okay, so I'm going to pass back to Alized to just talk about this slide briefly.
Yeah, so we just wanted to mention, having shown you the 3 judging forms that our category judges use to evaluate your performances, just wanted to make sure that everybody knows where to find them really, because on the Labs website, you can see a page here from it. There is a whole section devoted to the judging and contest categories, And there is a contest and judging handbook, which is always useful to read so that you know what rules you're being judged by. And that, in fact, is where you will find all of the references of the scoring forms that we've used this afternoon. And this PowerPoint will go out to you if you're interested. And so there are there's a reference there to go directly to those judging forms, and also just a note of who was on the call this afternoon. So hopefully that will be useful to you. Back to you, Alison. I'm going to stop sharing. There we go.
Thank you very much, Ali. So I wanted to ask at this point if there are any questions from the delegates in this room. I'm going to kick it off with one question that I've been asked quite a few times as a judge. So this is probably aimed at Paula, but I'm sure the other people can pick this up as well. Is there a hierarchy in the 5 elements of the scoring?
Shall I start there then?
Yes, start there, Paula.
No, there isn't a hierarchy in the 5 elements that we judge in the singing category. We're looking, we look at all 5 elements. We evaluate your skill level in all 5 elements, and then we do arrive at at a holistic score at the end. But no hierarchy is the answer.
Thank you, Paula. Nikki next. Is there a hierarchy?
Well, if it's possible to go back to the scoring form, I don't know if that's possible,
Yeah.
but I think Debbie and I just need to go through our 5 elements. So on the performance judging form, you'll see that we talk about entertainment, which is, you would think that that's quite a subjective thing, and it must be, and so we take that as if we are an audience member, and therefore performance judges can have different views, because we all come from different experiences and memories, different imaginations, and therefore we are going to receive things in a different way, but we judge the overall impact of the performance and then come to sort of a score in terms of entertainment value. Audience rapport, that's a really interesting one, which sometimes I think people don't always realize that we're scoring from the moment you walk on stage, in between the songs, and at the end of the stage. And audience rapport is the whole performance. So it's about how well you engage your audience and connect with them. So that can be from literally coming on stage and how you look at them. Are you nervous? Are you confident? Do you take command? But also through the song, how well do you actually connect with your audience through the song? In terms of expressiveness, this one allows us to dip into both vocal and visual elements of the performance. So we're looking for how you bring those words to life. What sort of expression have you got in the sound? But also in terms of the visual performance, does that song demand a visual performance? And how effective is it? Is it clear and effective? Good visual and vocal agreement, that one can be quite confusing, if I'm honest, because we all know of performances that are predominantly visual or predominantly vocal. And here it says that we're looking for some agreement. So, however, we know that sometimes one performance will have a more dominant feature in one of those elements. But we're looking at the overall impact of them. We're looking at whether they're in balance with each other. So if it's a climax in a song, is that matched by the visual intention as well? And then we come to perhaps the crux of it, I think, when we're talking about believability. And this is one that we share very much with the other categories. Is this performance, is the song sung from the heart? And you'll hear performance judges really talking about, is it authentic? Is it natural? But we've always had this. Is it sung from the heart? And they're all equal. They all add into that score at the end of the day.
Okay. Thank you, Nikki. So, Debbie, I think you wanted to go back to.
Do you want to go back to form?
Yes. Sorry. Yes, if you could. So, as you can see, it's split into technical and artistic. On the technical side, I'll keep this as brief as possible. Consonance is a primary hallmark of the style and is shared by all categories. It's we talk about it in terms of the lock and ring, the resonance of the lock and ring. And that comes from both how you're singing it and also the inherent quality of the chords in the arrangement. Some are more ringable than others. So if you pick a really tricky arrangement that has no ringy chords in it, then your consonants will probably be lower as a result. So that's where the choice of the song comes into it. Execution is about basically performing accurately as a unit, your synchronization, your vowel matching, and all of that kind of thing. The artistic things are all rather intertwined. Delivery is about your musicianship, how you understand the musical elements of the song and the arrangement and how you perform them. The theme is the principal musical statement of the song. So this is the lyric, the rhythm, the melody, and the harmony. Which one is strongest? And understanding that should then lead all of your choices throughout the song, especially where you have potential alternatives. Embellishments are the swipes, the echoes that you all know, which again is one of the hallmarks of the style, which need accuracy of execution and also musicality and delivery that supports the theme. So there's where the intertwining bit comes in.
Okay, thank you very much. Brilliant. I was just going to say, can you unshare again, Ali? Thank you. So are there any questions from the audience at the moment before we move on? Well, you've got a captive crew of judges here.
I've put everybody on mute, so if they want to write the questions in the chats. And
okay.
Yeah,
okay.
That's probably why it's quiet.
Oh, okay. I was assuming people could do that thing they can do in my chorus rehearsal, which is bang their space bar and shout out. Perhaps not. Okay. Well, we will hopefully be having time for some questions at the end. So if you think of something then, that would be great. So we're going to watch a performance now, and then we're going to talk about it in the way that we might talk about it as if we were discussing it in the judges' room with a view to giving an evaluation to the group. And an evaluation would be telling them how they've done and also what their next steps might be if they wanted to take it on. Now, before we start the video, I have to tell you, this is Avalon. It's Avalon's performance from in the finals in 2017. They have given us permission to share this with you, so don't worry about that. And also we need to bear in mind that this was the year before they won their gold medals. So obviously they moved on from this performance. And I have to say as well, their outing at prelims, between their outing at prelims that year and this performance you're about to watch, they did improve by about 3%. So they made, I think they were quite a brand new quartet at the time, and they made rather a significant rise. So hopefully this will work and you will all hear. She says, hopefully, here we go.
Contestant number 3. From Bristol, South Gloucestershire, Labs Youth Chorus and Club at Large, Boo, Helen, Karen and Sophie, Avalon!
Bring me sunshine in your smile. In your smile, make me happy, so happy all the while. In this world where we live, there should be more happiness, so much joy we can give to each brand new bright tomorrow. Make me happy through the years. Never bring me any tears, any tears. Let your arms be as warm as the sun from up above. Bring me fun, bring me sunshine, bring me love, bring me love. When I was a kid, I used to sing all day. Rain, rain, go to sing, the more it stayed away. Now I see the sunshine every day. The skies are never gloomy anymore. Love is coming to me 'cause you I adore. You always bring me sunshine. I'm all through with the rain. Up to day. Bring me sunshine in your beautiful smile. Make me happy all the while. In this world where we live, there should be more happiness, so much joy we can give to every brand new bright tomorrow. Make me happy through the years, never bring me any tears. Let your arms be as warm as the sun from up above. Bring me fun, bring me sunshine, bring me love, bring me love, bring me sunshine, and bring me love. Up to day. Bring me sunshine, and bring me love. I expected nothing of love, not the moon or stars above. But when I met you, my expectation grew. Now I know the meaning of love, sweet love. If I expected love when first we kissed, blame it on my youth. And if only just for you I did exist, blame it on my youth. I believed in every little thing, just like a child of 3. Yes, you meant more than anything, all the world to me. You hold to me. And if you were on my mind both night and day, blame it on my youth. If I forgot to eat and sleep and pray, blame it on my youth. If I cried a little bit when first I learned the truth,
Oh.
Wow.
Okay, welcome back everyone. I hope that you all could hear and see that well enough. So what we're going to do now is again work through the categories, but I dare say, because when you put judges together in a room, even if it's a virtual one, they will discuss things. They won't speak individually. So, and that is what this is about. So I'd like to encourage you politely, if it's necessary, to interrupt each other or to add to what each other is saying. So we're going to start again with the music category. So Debbie, would you like to comment on the first song?
Yeah, so first of all, general level, high B, pretty competent quartet. And it's also worth just noting that when we're training, we acknowledge that a video is never as good as the live performance. So there is that. I'm going to go through my 5 elements with a brief summary. Consonance level was primarily consonant. The start dipped in and out a bit, but then as the song went on, it got better and better. The execution was good, fairly tight. I wasn't feeling any major distractions there. Certainly wasn't the main thing that I want to comment on. The delivery, theme, and embellishment, the 3 artistic elements, I would like to take those all together. The lyric theme at the start was quite strong, very exposing vocally. And we could see the musical plan a bit as a result. The simplicity of the arrangement and the lack of the embellishments kind of didn't give them much opportunity to shine, and didn't help with their forward motion. But once into the song, that improved. The way they sang the added embellishments got the forward motion going a bit more, and the pace was set very well. The main area for growth that I would be talking about would be that the rhythmic theme needed the swing dial to be turned up quite a notch. The presence of scat in the arrangement, you know, the doobity doobity wah bit, shows that the arranger intended this to be a swing vehicle. And there was some swing in how they delivered it, but it needed even more of an upbeat delivery, more of a bouncy swing groove, which would have brought the artistry and use of the embellishments up another gear, which is obviously where they want to aim. One example of a phrase that shows this is the brand new bright tomorrow. They emphasize every 1 and 3 beats there, where it could have been brand new bright tomorrow, which would have been a lot more swingy. Keeping in faith with the rhythmic theme is more important once you've established it than treatment of individual lyrics. Otherwise, you're compromising your main theme. Other comments I'd make was that there was a missed opportunity for more contrasted vocal delivery between the simple, understated intro with the different parts coming in separately against the end of the song, which was far more complex in the arrangement, had a lot more bells and whistles, and the end of the song suited their bright delivery. And at the beginning, I just felt it could have contrasted maybe with a warmth or something, which I'm sure the singing category would chip in on as well. Yeah, it is overall a very good performance. Just my main comment and the main thing I would work on them in a coached evaluation would be the delivery of the swing groove and just dialing it up a bit and for a more relaxed, easy, entertaining delivery.
Okay, thank you, Debbie. Right, on to performance. Nikki.
That's really interesting. I think we've got some overlap going here, so I'll you know, give you some pointers of what we were looking for in that performance, or how we judged it, and then try and draw on some of those things that Debbie's mentioned as well. So from the moment they came on stage, I think you could tell where they did get that bronze medal, 3rd place with this performance. So that entrance made me sit up in my chair, sorry, because they chose to do it in a different way. And how entertaining is that? And immediately builds some rapport with the audience with something different, and you think, oh, this is going to be interesting. So you are made to be receptive for the performance. When they started, you know, you think, oh yes, these are good singers, I'm going to enjoy this, and then you start to think about the song itself and what's this song all about, and where's the story. And as we went through this, I must admit that I was really trying to, you know, find that at times, so that perhaps that's something that could be improved upon, because this song is a song of being happy and being in love, and you could see a little bit of inconsistency in that throughout the performance. So I think the approach to any song in performance is, you know, how do you want your audience to feel, and what is this song about, who are you singing it to, and is that consistent across the quartet? So it seemed to me that the song is a celebration of love. Bring me sunshine, this person is clearly loved, and as you go through the lyric you find out more and more about why you're singing. So I would suggest that you use that lyric to bring that to life.
But not at the expense of the rhythm.
Well, performance also looks at rhythm, because we do have themes as well. They're not so important nowadays as they used to be. And it is interesting that this performance was actually the first time we were scoring as performance and not presentation. And yet when I look at this performance, I see more of a presentation than what we're asking our competitors to give us now, more real world entertainment. So, and I think Avalon have really taken this on board and now give us true, real life entertainment, which we see from them now. So the rhythm, when I was looking at this, you know, can I tap my toe consistently along to it, and do I get that sense of enjoyment from them visually, and are the visuals supporting those musical elements? And there was a bit where I just felt like I wanted to move, and it almost felt it set itself up for a faster pace and a faster tempo, but that wasn't necessarily maintained. And so I think there was some confusion in that. So certainly that would affect the audience view of the performance as well.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Nikki. There are a few questions coming through on the chat, but what I want to do is
I'm dealing with that.
Okay, but I want to let Paula speak before we go back to some of those questions. So we are noticing them. People are putting questions in there. Thank you. But let's let Paula tell us about this song.
Okay, so this is a really competent quartet. You get a real sense of their command of vocal skills is good, right? You know, right from the outset. The tuning is generally tight. There are just the occasional moments. At the beginning, the lead was a little unsure tuning-wise. It took time to settle. And I wondered if that has something to do with the space between the pitch and singing, and that there wasn't quite long enough time in between taking the pitch and singing. So here's a bit of overlap with performers, that how important that element of time is to enable the singer to connect emotionally to the song, to make sure their instrument's in the right place, and to make sure then that the timbre that is that they sing with at the beginning of the song is the right one, because that time will set that. So I think that would be something I would say for them to think about. Lots of elements of vocal expression that kind of pop up throughout the song that give life to the song. And they've clearly thought a lot about how to use word sounds. In that little section where the bass sings "When I Was a Kid," and the gloomy "You I Adore," some really nice little treatment there of those particular words. And you know, vocal quality is really pleasing overall, with a really bright, ringy tone that is really nice to listen to. Just some specific elements for each singer. I think in the singing category, for a quartet at this level, we're kind of thinking about what can we help each singer to do better next time they sing together. And you know, for the tenor, that would be, you know, when she's high in her range, she has a very distinctly different timbre to the rest of her range, where she blends with the quartet. High in the range, it pops out and she becomes disconnected from the sound. So we've got a bit of a link there with Debbie's consonants, I think, there, in terms of it doesn't quite work together, therefore we're not getting that connected sound, that lock and ring. So something to work on there in terms of how to transition between the different parts of the voice. And the bass is a little out of range at times in the song, particularly when singing low and singing high. And that's the thing about song choice. We all judge suitability to the performer. And, you know, it's thinking about what's the tessiture of the song. So is it too high or too low for anybody? And being aware of that. But maybe it's also a growth point in how to sing those lower notes and how to sing those higher notes. So I'd be interested to compare a more recent performance of this song for this quartet with this one. I suspect there's a difference in that for the bass singer. And the baritone has a lovely warm sound, which just kind of sits in the mix there really nicely, doesn't it? And I think what would be really nice is for the bass and the baritone to come a little more closer together. We don't want our singers to sound like each other. You can't. Your instrument is different. You are physically different. But we want to do things that bring you together in that ensemble sound. And I think that would be something for the baritone and bass to kind of work on. So for the baritone to take a little bit of the bass's pingy sound, and the bass to take a little bit of that warmth and depth that the baritone has. I think the quartet as a whole would absolutely benefit from adding some more depth to the resonant quality. So yeah, that's what I'd kind of work on.
Okay, thank you, Paula. That was really, really good. Alison Zalowski is answering the questions in the chat, but there's one there that we particularly want to refer to Debbie. So microphone on, Debbie. It says, to what degree is the music category open to a different treatment of a song, e.g. a classic ballad sung with a swing rhythm?
If the arrangement you are singing supports the new treatment, then go for it. I'm probably known for a well-known example of a particular song where a ballad arrangement has been badly changed into a swing song, and in my opinion it does not work. So if you want to sing a normal ballad song in a swing style, I would encourage you to go out and find a swing arrangement of it, not try and adapt what you've got, because it'll always be just a little bit clunky. But in terms of if you've got the right type of arrangement and it's a song that we just happen to be used to hearing in a different way, then of course we're open to it. And even in the case of a ballad, if you want to interpret it in a different way to the cookie cutter normal way of hearing it, that's absolutely encouraged, but you have to make sure that the choices you're making are based in the music and make sense, rather than doing something different just for the sake of it. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, can I just add to that? I mean, my comment in answer to that question was, you know, if you can convince us that that's the way that it should be sung, then we'll judge it accordingly. Because you've always said, I've always known music to say, you know, we judge the song as performed. So if you think it can stand that treatment and you can do it well enough to convince us that there's no other way to do it, then you'll get the reward. You'll be rewarded accordingly. So,
absolutely.
Brilliant.
I think somebody also put in the chat about do we ever switch off, basically? And I think probably the answer to that is no. So I'm just going to leave that one there.
Just, I'm just answering
unless
that one.
It's A+.
Yeah, there is a but.
Just as we speak.
One at a time.
Paula. Thank you.
Oh,
you
Ali.
mentioned the question and I'm in charge of questions, so can I just say I'm just about answering that question now, and I'm just pointing out that that's basically what we train for, and that's why it takes 3 years to train. And you know, we're an analyst and an audience, aren't we? We're analysts and we're audience, and you know, that's what we kind of work with. Anyway, I'm going to go back to the questions. You go back to
I was warned when we planned this session that we would run out of time, and so I think it's time we move on to the second song. So back to the start with Debbie for song 2, please.
Sure. So Blame It On My Youth. Consonance level was, again, it was primarily consonant. Very few distractions where it dipped out, but the inherent higher level of consonant chords in the arrangement and the juicier, more interesting harmonies in the song compared to the first song did give them an awful lot more opportunities to show off how consonant they can be, which they made the best use of. Execution, only occasional sync distractions for me in the ballad delivery, mostly in the timings of the swipes, which could just be tightened up ever so slightly. Delivery, a lot better use of the musical elements that the arranger had included to give a more heartfelt performance in this one. This is where I would cross over with performance and would want them to be singing it from the heart, and I felt that there was a lot of that going on. The theme, there was a good use of lyrics, some lovely phrasing going on, good clarity and good use of word sounds in the lyric to enhance the musical delivery. Embellishments were mostly understood and used well, but I think there's room for them to grow here, and this was their bronze medal performance. Obviously they did get better at it. There were moments where it just needed a bit more. They're not doing anything wrong or counterintuitive to the music. They're just not making the most of every single one and wringing the last bit of musicality that they've got out of every single moment. They also need to make sure that when embellishments are going on, that they're always fully supported by all the other parts, and that the transitions in between the notes in the swipes don't kind of go in and out. It's, you know, that effect when you've got your window open on the motorway and you hear that kind of whoosh of the lights going by, that kind of gives that kind of weird in and outy feel. I'm not expressing myself very well, but you probably know what I mean. There was a little bit of that going on in some of the swipes, and if they'd held a more constant tone throughout them, it would have been more effective and found other ways to develop it rather than doing this artificial kind of vocal effect, which didn't work for me.
Okay, thank you, Debbie. Nikki, sorry, performance.
Thank you. So I think this one is where the quartet really come into their own, and you see the high level that the quartet are working at, because the audience can get really involved in this song. The quartet enables the audience to do so. The feelings really come across, and there is consistency across the quartet as well in the agreed message. So they're competent, it's increasingly believable, it has an emotional impact. Scores 74 to 80 in the B plus level. It says in our handbook that they're substantial presence of excellence, audience almost totally involved and moved emotionally. So let's just unpick it a little bit. So there was some really good use of words to bring expression vocally. So words like just for you and I believe in everything. There were moments when, you know, you could hear in the arrangement that they understood the arrangement. So things like on cry, you know, you could hear the emotion in the sound. And it had a journey. It was a story. They told us a story. In terms of, you know, what do we do next? Well, there were dynamics in it. They had a plan, but sometimes we could see that plan. So it's moving it more towards artistry and less technical. The dynamics, as Debbie was saying, you know, we could make more of them. Take those opportunities and perhaps be more of a risk taker. So I feel that also there was a bit just at the end where the last word was don't blame it on my heart, and that actually took me out of song, which isn't what you want to do right at the end of the song. You want to leave your audience absolutely wrung with emotion, and they would be told all through the song, you know, this happened, but blame it on my youth, you know, I now know what love is. And then right at the end the word changed to heart, and so I wasn't in that story. And so I would work with the quartet to think about, you know, can we change that so that the audience are just, yeah, in the palm of your hand at the end of the song.
Okay.
Just interjection there, that's something to watch out for in arrangements, because there are some American arrangers who deliberately make a choice to have the final vowel as open as possible. So for them, putting down an oo vowel of youth wouldn't be the best choice for them. Artistically, doesn't really make sense to immediately contradict what you've just said a second before, because the actual words are, we had to part, I blame it on my youth, not my heart. Why did we ever part? I blame it on my heart. Make up your mind. Doesn't make sense, which is why Nikki was so bothered. But that's purely an arrangement device of wanting to have that open vowel. So if you see that and it doesn't work for you, change it back to what it should be. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. I know that Paula's got something to say about that, but just before I let you loose, Paula, I just wanted to say, we talked earlier on about hierarchy and the elements, and I just want to point out to you, as I'm a singing judge, this speaking is not in order of hierarchy of the categories. It's just alphabetical order, and it's the system we use, because otherwise singing would definitely go first, and I will fight you for it. Paula, over to you.
You mean the music category isn't the God category?
Okay, so again, a really lovely natural delivery of the lead line by the lead singer, which is very engaging vocally. She has a really lovely way of delivering the lyric. Some very natural nuance in words. She makes some lovely word sound choices as well. And it's really clear that the quartet spend a lot of time thinking about those elements. So it's a really competent performance. It would score somewhere around 70, 73, 74, something like that in a contest. You know, tuning's good, right? This quartet singing tune. You know, vocal quality is really pleasing overall. But again, that timbre match, I think, is something the quartet needs to work on. And we also need to hear a little bit more of a wall of sound. Debbie, you kind of alluded to this. It's that kind of, I kind of call it a wah-wah feel. So in the introduction on the word love, the bass had a swipe, and each of those changes of notes in the swipe had a bit of a wah-wah feel to them. And what that does is, I think that was probably trying to create an effect there, but what it does is it stops the lock and ring. So, you know, having really beautifully resonant notes that are held beautifully well when you're on held notes is really important. So keep the notes nice and steady, you know, and the nuance will take care of itself through your emotional connection to the song as a singer. So there's my overlap with Nikki's category. So yeah, resonance just needs to be more consistent, really. And I think, you know, all of the singers in this quartet could do with having a little look at alignment. You know, we'd go back to some of the fundamentals, really, because we know that good alignment will absolutely impact on their ability to sing with more resonance. Just a little comment about matching vowels and the word youth. It came a lot in the song. The oo vowel wasn't matched, and we often didn't hear the word youth. We heard you. So thinking about, that's quite an important word in this song to be thinking about. So finishing the word and matching the vowel. And I think at the end, again, in an attempt to be expressive, the vocal quality became a little bit pressed, a little bit harsh, and that then wasn't so pleasing to listen to. So again, just kind of focusing on the fundamentals, let the emotion drive the vocal quality rather than the vocal trying to make your vocal quality drive the emotion. So letting it happen naturally rather than forcing the voice to do those things. But again, a really competent performance.
Okay, thank you. So that's brilliant. We've been through both the songs and we actually have 7 minutes to spare. So I think that that was really interesting listening to the crossover in the categories and how we refer to different elements, to the same element, but in slightly different ways. And it is often described as we're viewing the same performance, but through a slight different lens. So, you know, singing and performance and music, they're all intrinsic. And right back in the day when I first did the foundation course to become a judge, we used to actually have a Venn diagram of the three categories and the overlap between them, and then the common ground right in the middle. But that kind of went out of fashion. But I don't know, I think it's quite a good representation really of what we do. So are there any other questions that people want to raise, or other judges, have you come up with any other points that you wanted to make as a result of that discussion?
Well, I'd just like to say it's interesting what Paula was saying about alignment, because when you look at the quartet, you can see that there is a sense of command, but there's also a confidence that they ooze now that perhaps they didn't have then. And some of that is about alignment, but we always refer to it as, posture. It's like a naughty word now, but good posture, when you walk onto the stage, when you accept applause, you want to see someone standing tall. And just scanning across the quartet, we do tend to find sometimes our taller ladies perhaps don't stand as tall as they might to really ooze that confidence that we want to see. So that's something I'd pick up too in my category.
I think that it's a nice way to describe that is that if you're kind of going towards your audience, you're almost begging them to listen to you, whereas if you're standing, you're ready to receive their adulation, and you're kind of, like you use the word command there, Nikki. I think that's a really important. And sometimes we've heard people, when we've talked about alignment, people think that we're asking them to be really stiff and really formal, which we're not at all. We just want you to get your instrument in the best place, and actually it works really well for performance as well, and that's going to work for music. Debbie, did you want to say anything else? I've got one more question in here, which is a little bit of a controversial question. Might use up our last 5 minutes.
Ooh, ever disagree about?
Yes. Can you tell us the sorts of things you ever disagree about?
You mean within category or across category? I
don't really.
I don't think we generally do. I think singing sometimes pick up a little more on individual intonation issues, whereas my category would be thinking more holistically in terms of general levels of consonance, unless it was a really major tuning error or a wrong note that was therefore affecting what the chord was. But generally, I think we are pretty much in agreement. The one proviso I'd say there was, I think we'd all agree, was when a particular performance is a mixed message performance. And that's where all of our opinions can be all over the place, because as humans, we all have our own history as musicians that we're drawing on.
Yeah.
And therefore, we might get drawn to the bit that's better out of the performance, and others might be drawn to the bit that's not so good about a performance, and would therefore give that a bit more weight. And that's where we can, where the scores aren't quite as tight as we'd like.
Yeah.
This performance of Avalon's, the scores across the board were exceptionally tight. We were all pretty much in agreement of exactly where they stood. But where a performance has different levels, for example, in music, if they're very consonant, but they have an awkward delivery, where do you put them? Or if they have a brilliant delivery, but maybe they're older voices that can't quite deliver the consonants, again, how can you reward the delivery without just getting everything in balance, basically, which one affects you?
Yeah, so can I just pick up on that to just say that I think I'm echoing really what Debbie said, that we try to score very tightly, and that's what we train to do, because though we are human, we want to be as accurate and as good for the contestants as we possibly can. But when you get a discrepancy between those 5 elements that the categories are talking about, that's when you might get a spread in the scores of the judges. I don't mean a major spread, but a bit of a one, because it's reflecting that inconsistency. Alison, sorry. Mute.
Yeah, unmute. Yeah, I just wanted to, just to support what you're saying about that, and we don't often disagree, but it's really good just to recognise the fact that in labs, contests, and indeed Babs and BHS as well, we tend to have triple panels of judges in each 3 categories, because inevitably we all bring our life experience to the judging table, and different ones of us will have different experiences, different hotspots, if you like, different things that we see and hear. And yes, we train to be as accurate as we can, and we all, in our heart of hearts, know that actually what we're there to do is to put down the right score for the competitor. But in the whole setup of our competitions, there is a recognition that there is likely to be some minor adjustments to scoring depending on the judging, and that's why we have a triple panel and why you're judged by 9 people rather than by the single person that you get in other organisations.
Okay, we are going to have to wrap that up there. I really enjoyed that. I knew I would when we got into it. It's fun to talk. We don't often actually get the chance to talk cross-category like that, though we do. But anyway, thank you ever so much for those of you who've attended. I hope you found it interesting. And if you want to know more, go to the judges page on the website, and you can contact any of us from our contact information in the category pages. And we'd love to answer questions. See you soon. Bye.